Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Slow. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Last time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Welcome everybody to Wisdom Wednesday. How's everyone doing? Everyone doing okay? All right, cool. We're very happy to have you all here. This is, we call it a discussion group for seekers. So whether we live here at Krishna House, or whether we're a student, or working in Gainesville, or whatever we're doing, we're all here because we're seeking in one way or another. And so what we want to do here is provide you with knowledge and tools so you can really understand more, what are we even seeking? You know, we might not even be clear what we're looking for, although it's a noble thing to be a seeker. And so we're hoping to bring some more clarity to everyone here, and hopefully everyone can walk away tonight with something very inspiring, something you feel you can really use to work on yourself, and hopefully either start or deepen your spiritual life from where it currently is. And so basically we'll do some quick introductions, then we'll have some wonderful discussion and facilitation from our wonderful guest speaker, Navina Nirada, who I will introduce in a moment. And then around 7 o'clock we'll finish up, final questions, wrap up, final comments, and then we'll do a little more kirtan at the end. So that meditation we were doing at the beginning, has anyone not done that before? Kirtan? Awesome. Yeah, so it's very...
Was okay? You like the music? They do it wild also and crazy and dancing and all that stuff, you know. But it's still a little too hot, you know. I'm still cooling down. Just kind of, you know, first let's arrive. They'll do the other stuff later.
It's a very simple, very powerful meditation. And it's the main spiritual practice that we do here. Just in essence, it's chanting this mantra, this Hare Krishna mantra, which is named of the divine. So it's a direct way to connect with spiritual energy and connect with our real nature. So, without further ado, I'll do a little introduction, and then we can all go around and just very briefly say something about ourselves. And so, Navina Nirada Das is a wonderful practitioner of Bhakti Yoga. He's been a monk since 15 years old. In 1984, he became a monk actually at the age of 15, as I said, and he found one of the ancient scriptures in a library in Zurich, Switzerland. And since then, he's traveled the world more than a dozen times, and he got his degree from the Mayapur Institute in India, and he helped also to found a school there. And currently, he oversees a center in San Francisco, and he facilitates seminars like this one on leadership and outreach, and also gives personal guidance to individuals based on his decades of spiritual practice. So we're very, very fortunate to have him here. So please save your good questions and comments for the end, and we can do a little brief introduction of ourselves. My name is Brihat. I've been living here for about 2 years, and I'd like to hear from everyone just what is one place that was kind of the beginning of your spiritual life, or just a very profound experience that made you think differently about life. Because obviously if we're here, we've had some sort of spiritual experience or some deeper experience in life. And so for myself, it was actually in North Carolina, in Asheville, where someone gave me a book on the street called the Bhagavad Gita, and that really sparked my spiritual life. So in the mood of experiences traveling, let's share a little bit of experience of ourselves.
Hi Krishna, everybody. My name is Parth. I'm a graduate student in the US, studying computer science. So my first experience was on a seminar, 6-day seminar on does God exist, who am I, topics like those.
Was this in Delhi?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a very brief introduction so we can get through everyone, and just what we want to hear is what happened in a few words and where was it? Through the front. On the street. Nice. Awesome.
Hi Krishna, my name is Prashant. I got involved when I joined the Bhaktivedanta Foundation School in Mumbai in the first day. And I just wanted to kind of thank Krishna House for doing the live streaming classes in the morning and the evening classes and answering questions. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Shashank.
Do we have more chairs if more people come?
We do, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, relationships can definitely fuel spiritual life
Yeah,
in good or bad ways.
exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
My name is Lily, and I grew up in a pretty spiritual family, but I think it kind of re-energized me when my dad became very sick, and I saw him become ill, and it really opened my eyes that there is something beyond what we can feel.
Awesome.
Thank you.
My name is Leo. I'm a computational biologist. First spiritual awakening is more of an atheistic one. So realizing like evolution with all our shared ancestry, coming to the conclusion that we're one big family. Humans, microbes, plants, it's all around us. Nowadays I'm meditating and learning more about people.
Awesome.
Krishna consciousness.
Thank you.
Rich? Maryland College? Awesome. And you're one of our wonderful neighbors. Thanks for coming. And Veronica? Oh yes, sorry, you came late. We're just saying our name and what's one place where we had our first kind of spiritual realization and just briefly what happened.
My name is Veronica. I had a spiritualization when my sister passed away. That's when I started.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm Monica. I would say my first real spiritual experience was I did a weekend of ayahuasca, and then like that next Monday, I showed up at Krishna at 6 a.m. because I didn't know where else to go. And Prihat was one of the people who like greeted me, and I was like, yo.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have our parties in the morning here at Krishna House.
Yeah.
She showed up for one of those. Thanks, Monica.
We start when people come home, you know. So if you want to go for the all-nighter, for the 24/7 experience, this is a good place to land, you know, whatever it is that you're coming down from.
I'm also dressed in here. About my first realization, I don't have particular memory. Like, I don't remember. I feel like since my childhood, I always heard.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. Thank you.
Let's give Egam a quick round of applause. He just became an official PhD candidate.
There you go.
For plant pathology, so really wonderful.
I'm CJ. I'm a physics student here at UF. And my first spiritual experience, I guess, or when I started becoming more spiritual was at the start of this year, actually. I was being bipolar, I had a bad depressive episode, and worse than usual, and towards the bottom of it, I kind of made the decision to, even if I didn't really change any of my beliefs, to start meditating, all that, to get the benefits of it. But then as I got more into it, kind of stuff became out more open.
Awesome. Thanks for coming, CJ.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mirage, and I'm an engineering student here at UF. And I would say probably my first spiritual realization is like Sunday school back at home, and then also my dad would tell me stories about like from Bhagavad Gita and like fables and stuff. So that's where I first learned about spiritual knowledge.
Awesome.
My name is Gus, and I'm a sophomore at UF, and my first spiritual realization is staying at this.
Sunday school.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you all so much for coming. Real quick, if you need to use the restroom, behind us there is a door. Just go down through that hallway, and on the left at the end you'll find the bathroom. There's apple juice and water on the table there. Feel free to grab one. And at the very end we'll have some wonderful cupcakes, muffins, something really nice at the end at 7:30. So yeah, without further ado, let's welcome Navina Nirada Das.
Hey, I better say something good. So, yeah, I was born in a small town near Zurich in Switzerland, and things didn't work out too great, so they put me in a boarding school in the mountains. not as big as this one here, but we had half American program and half European program. So it was pretty fun. You call it like your dream liberal arts school, where you can do pottery and theater and poetry, and we had computers. That's in the early 1980s. Yoga, meditation and philosophy, photography. We had our own labs. We did, you know, grow our own stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So I became more aware of spirituality and philosophy, and also the nature of the human existence, how you can be surrounded by a lot of people but you can feel lonely, or sometimes you can be alone by yourself and you can feel totally connected and fine. Have you had experiences like that in your life? You've been with a whole bunch of people but you felt like totally alone, or you've been by yourself and you felt completely in the zone, as we speak. So I started my journey in '84, as it was mentioned before, and I just wanted to share a couple of stories from the Himalayas, because I really like that place. Because growing up, a good part of my life was in the mountains, either skiing or working on farms or in school. So I really resonated with the Himalayas because I felt at home. I felt it was my vibe. So I've been going there regularly in a town called Rishikesh. I don't know how many of you have heard of Rishikesh or have been there. It's like the Mecca of yoga, and it's just where the Ganges comes down from the Himalayas and just before it starts hitting the plains. It's at the foothills of the Himalayas. And I went there on several occasions, and there's a couple of incidences that I would like to share, and some of the lessons that I have learned. Hi, welcome. Good. Thanks for making it. There's water and apple juice, so the bar is open. So they have an annual yoga festival or international yoga conference up there every year, and I used to attend in different configurations, oftentimes assisting some of my teachers who would speak there and do seminars, and sometimes just taking groups of people up there to explore the area and go on retreats. So one time I came up there and it was Shivaratri. I don't know if you heard of Shivaratri, but it's like if you combine Halloween, Black Friday, and New Year's Eve all together at once. So it's a busy day. It's a busy festival day. Everyone's out, everyone's partying. I went down to the Ganges, and at that point where I reached the water, he was sitting there and he was doing his meditation. So I was very happy to see him, and he motioned me to sit next to him. So we were there chanting for some time, and then all of a sudden it got very, very loud and noisy and a lot of wind, and a helicopter took off from a helipad pretty close to it. And he just looked up at me and smiled, and he said, Rishikesh has changed a lot in the last 50 years. Because he was there 50 years ago. When he started out, he had hitchhiked from London to India overland. And he had studied under different teachers in the Himalayas, and he was actually sitting on a rock in the Ganges for over a month and just going there every day to chant and meditate, and then drinking Ganges water, and then walking back to his cave, and some shopkeeper would give him 2 carrots, and he lived on 2 carrots and some water. So we were very close to that rock where he did his practice 50 years earlier as a starting practitioner, so to speak. So he was telling me this story, how he one time was sitting there on that rock, minding his own business, just meditating and chanting quietly to himself, and all of a sudden he saw this hawk who was circling above him and coming closer and closer and closer. And initially, he wasn't so sure whether that hawk had friendly intentions or not. But all of a sudden, the hawk went and went right into water and went underwater. And there was some skirmish. And then he came up and had a big fish in its claws. And it flew off into the sky. And he was just narrating this and explaining that when you want to do meditation, you have to have focus. You got to have focus. You got to be focused. Like that hawk. That hawk was focused. He was very focused on his goal. Even though there were so many sights and so many things and so many moving objects, but that hawk was focused on the fish. He had his eyes on that fish. And when you're doing your practice, don't be shallow like the fish. The fish got caught because it was on the surface. It was shallow. Sometimes we like to dabble in things. We just like to explore and coast and just cruise around and just try stuff out. Have you ever had that mood? You know, like you go to stores, you don't want to really buy anything. You just want to look, right? Just looking. And you just feel the fabrics and you just roam around, so to speak. But you're just dabbling. You're just on the superficial platform. And unfortunately, it also happens in our practice that we're kind of half-heartedly, we're there, but we're not really there. So then, what happens easily is that something will catch our attention and will hijack us and capture us and pull us away. Has it ever happened that you were doing your homework and all of a sudden your phone started giving these funny signals? Like these lights that go on and these noises that come. And even though it was something really not so relevant, still you got distracted. Has this ever happened to you? Or is it just me? I got a phone too. And I do research. Sometimes I ask, how many phones do you have? And I've heard up to 7, Some people have really a lot of phones. I wonder how they keep track of who's who and what's what. So, do yourself a favor. If you want to have a great experiencing, meditating or doing your practice or even doing your studies, use that little button that has that airplane on it. Have you seen that? That airplane mode? So this is a little takeaway for today. You can take mental note, take an image, take a screenshot of that. Okay? Screenshot. Go into flight mode every day. Like in the evening when things slow down and you don't have to be there anymore for the world, unless you're like a brain surgeon or, a nurse on emergency duty. Just do yourself a favor. Go into flight mode. And reclaim your life, reclaim your space. You don't have to be there engaging with the world 24/7. Have you ever tried it? I know it sounds scary, right? Go in flight mode. I mean, what will people think of me, right? If I'm not responding. Believe me, once you go off flight mode, there will be more messages. You'll be elated. You'll be, delighted by all the attention that you'll be getting when you get off flight mode. But do yourself a favor. Get into flight mode every day. I mean, you can start off with a few hours. I know it sounds scary, but then you can push it, like intermittent fasting. You can push it. You do 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours. And you know what's the amazing thing, what you realize? I'm still alive. Have you had that experience? I'm still alive. Like the world's still out there, and nothing has really changed that much. So do yourself a favor and reclaim your own life. Because right now, there's a lot of different other people who have a piece of your attention. Did you notice how so many different agencies are fighting for your mind space, for your head space, for your attention? They try to get a piece of you in different ways. So, to have a practice means that I'm kind of committed, I'm kind of determined to do this because I have certain goals that I want to pursue. Like some of you are going to school and you want to get a degree. So you want to get this thing done as quick as possible. Am I right? Say yes or yes. Please say yes. So that means any distorting frequencies, you try to tone them down. And whatever is enhancing your practice, you try to increase it. So the first element is focus. And get rid of the distorting frequencies. Whatever is distracted, try to tone it down. Whatever it is that gives you pain. Another incident that I wanted to share with you. I regularly took groups up there, and one time we were doing chanting. We were starting with chanting, and we're going to finish with chanting. So Rishikesh, you have to know, is a very interesting town. It's actually in 3 parts. There is the old town Rishikesh, and then there is one settlement and one further up the river, and always on both sides of the river. And there is bridges crossing the river. So we were at the landing of the bridge, just where everybody has to go over the bridge. But it's not a bridge where cars can go. It's like pedestrian, maybe motorcycles, maximum. So we were doing their chanting in a group about almost the size of what is here now. And we were causing kind of a ruckus. We were kind of causing a real major bottleneck. Because as we were chanting, more and more people showed up. And more people started joining in. And it became like, do you know what mosh pit is? Have you guys ever been to Warped Tour? No? Anyway, it became pretty exuberant. It became pretty wild. And the whole thing was jamming up. The traffic was backing up in all directions. And it was quite an experience. Meanwhile, while we're chanting, I'm watching, there's a beggar sitting on the stairs next to us, below German Bakery. And he's there, and obviously all the action is down where we are. And after a while, he decides it's not such a fun to do what he does, just sitting around waiting for somebody to show up and drop a coin. So he picks up his cup, puts it in his pocket, and he decides to come over and join us. So after a while, he starts dancing around, and he really gets into it. And he starts dancing very ecstatically, very exuberantly. And then something very unusual happened. At some point, he starts reaching into his pocket and taking out a whole stack of 10 rupee notes. It's like the equivalent of $1 bills. And he starts waving it around and showing everybody, look, I'm not a beggar. I'm actually a wealthy person. And he starts putting money into each and every person's pocket that's there on the square. So the lesson I got from this is that if you have association, if you have like-minded people who do what you like to do, you can, if you travel alone, you can go fast. But if you travel in a group of like-minded people, you will go far. So right now, most of you want to go fast. You want to finish this thing as quick as possible because it's costing time. You got a life to live. You got plans, people to meet, all the excitement, all the fun that's waiting. But if you want to go far in life, find a group of like-minded people that you can share your journey and your challenges and your joys with, and I guarantee you, you'll go farther. I personally started out at the age of 15. I dropped out of 9th grade because I realized that I need to do something different. And I had 3 desires. I wanted to travel the world, I wanted to meet amazing people, and I wanted to make a difference. And in the last 40 years, I've traveled the world almost 20 times over, to the point where this current scenario, the pandemic, has actually been a blessing because I got a break. And I'm enjoying myself. Because right now, where are you going? Oh, I don't have to go anywhere. What are you doing? I don't have to do anything. I can just be. Before you had to be somebody. Now you can just be, and it's okay. Right? Did you notice how there's actually less pressure right now to perform and to put scores up and to impress people and to interact with the world? You can say, hey, it's my sabbatical. I'm just going to write out this 2020, and then we'll take it from there. So invest energy and time into building up a group of like-minded individuals who have similar types of interests and ideas and proclivities, and I guarantee you that your journey will be much more fruitful, much more fun, and exciting. And I also saw how if you give people the opportunity to feel like they're an asset rather than a liability, they can actually make a huge difference. Usually people, would you like to be seen as an asset or as a liability? Just a short show of hands. Asset, who would like to be an asset? Okay. Liability? Not really, right? So, if we see the potential in each other and in every person, in every living entity, in every plant that we meet, right? Isn't that your job? You see the potential. And plants can do amazing things. I was in Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and I saw that some of these, it's the biggest temple structure that exists. How many of you have been to Cambodia? Angkor Wat? How many of you have seen Tomb Raider? Okay, a few people nod, a few people smile. Okay, that was filmed in that place. Okay, so it's the oldest, one of the biggest temple structures in the world. And a lot of them are crumbling because plants are taking over. That school that I built in India that he mentioned, at one point we had water damage on the 4th floor, and I thought it's really strange because there's no real pipes up there, so why do we get water damage on the roof? So I went up there and I saw there was a tree this high growing on the roof. Now you tell me, how does a tree get on the roof of my school? Any idea? Nature takes its own course. Yes. The birds eat fruits and then they poop up there, and with the fertilizer and the rain and the sun, boom! And the roots were going like 12 feet in each direction, and some of them were going through the concrete into the building and breaking up the roof. It's pretty powerful. How big is a seed? Give us an idea. Tree? Seed of a tree? A seed. Yeah, different sizes, but it can be very small, actually tiny. And it can tear up a whole building. So seeds are powerful. Okay? And seeds are like ideas. Right now you're in school and you get exposed to a lot of information. Some of it is real, some of it is fake, all types of data. And these are like seeds. So mind what type of seeds you sow in your mental landscape, because they will fructify. And once the fruits come, you're going to have to eat them. Some of them may be sweet, some of them may be bitter or sour or poisonous. So when we pursue our practice, we spoke about focus and not getting distracted. We spoke about having a group of like-minded people who are in a similar mindset. And the third one is seva, or selfless service, which means try every day to do something for others. That's not just for I, me, and mine. And you will realize how your life actually takes on more meaning and more purpose and more depth. It can be small things. How many of you are sharing your living space with somebody else? Hey, that's pretty great. So, you know, you have certain rules, and you have certain chores, and you have certain, right, divisions to keep things civil, right? But has it ever happened to you? You come into the kitchen and the sink is full of dirty dishes? Does it ever happen to you, or is it just me? Like, I live with a guy right now, you know, and he's a PhD in biology, and he's teaching at the school. He's a super smart guy. He worked at the University of Alberta as a geophysicist and geologist, like doing magnificent stuff and getting $1 million grants. But don't tell this to him. I'm sure he's not watching because he's working 3 jobs. So, but you come home and the sink is full of dirty dishes. This happens sometimes, right? And then you have you got a couple of options. What's option number one? You pretend it's not there, right? You just say it doesn't exist. I just blank it out. Okay? Option number two is I get worked up about it and I get really miffed. I get angry. And the next time I see the person, I confront them and I say, hey, not cool, dude, you know? Clean up your mess. Option number three, you just pick up one of them sponges and you do the dishes and you put them there and you just carry on with life. And you don't expect nothing. But believe it or not, at one point, somebody will notice. And even if nobody notices, you know who notices? You notice. You will notice. Because to do something without any expectation of return is selfless service. And that is the closest to pure love of God, and that is the closest to selfless love that is required to sustain any type of meaningful relationship. So if you're planning to have meaningful relationship in life, better get used to the idea. And try experimenting a little bit with that selfless service. So that's just 3 takeaways for today, plus the bonus track of not trying to get too distracted. Now we have quite some time for questions, reflections, just seeing if we're on track, yeah. And anything else that intrigued you coming out here tonight? I mean, it's a beautiful day, isn't it? And you could be in many places doing many things, but you chose to be here. So I do value and appreciate you coming all the way here and sharing this space and this time with us. So any questions or reflections related to the discussion or to any topic that gets you intrigued? Yes, please.
As someone who's still learning, still having trouble connecting with like-minded people, just finding a group that's working towards similar goals. So I was wondering your suggestions.
Yes, thank you for your honesty. That's a very good question. I have found personally that, you know, the good people that are out there, if I work on myself and I lower my levels of defense, which means I learn how to master my own ego, it makes it much easier to access those people. But as long as I'm still in either self-absorption or in fearful mode, it makes it very hard to connect with those people. How many times have we walked down the street and somebody passed us and we looked around, not because we knew them, but we wanted to make sure that that person was not going to follow us or do something weird. And I'm talking Gainesville. I'm not talking New York or San Francisco, okay? How many times has it happened to you? And this is not just girls. This is anybody, you know. And okay, I get it. You grew up in India, you grew up in Switzerland, and you may say, hey, you know, this doesn't happen to me. But I think it happened to all of us. Because we inherently have a conditioning which projects certain ideas on our mental landscape, so we become a little bit affected by that. So through our meditation, through our practice, we can actually lower our fear, and also we can lower our, you can call it pretentiousness, or you can call it our unnatural tendencies of trying to assert ourselves beyond the point of necessity. And I know we're living in the great country where everybody thinks I need to be the man in order to get by, or at least to survive. But when you're looking for meaningful friendships, then it's best to actually tone that down a notch or two and to just be yourself, because then you will find that a whole lot of people will actually start, resonating with you, and they start vibing with you, and they start feeling, hey, like we're on the same page here. We have so many things in common. But if I'm full of myself, first of all, it's really hard to notice that anyone else is out there, because I'm just so full of it. I'm just feeling so high on my own Kool-Aid, so to speak. So just lay off of that, for a while. And I know it may sound scary, and we all have our own little, rituals of self-infatuations. As it was mentioned, I've been working with monks for 40 years. And I'm a practitioner, I'm a teacher, I'm a counselor, I'm a coach. I do the 360. So, and everyone can do better, including and starting with myself. So, I know it's painful to go from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence. It's a tough learning curve, but it's part of the growing up process. So to have that humility to acknowledge that maybe I'm not Mr. or Mrs. Perfect, and maybe there's a few things that I could learn. Like, I learned so much today, just being here at UF. I walked and talked with one of my mentors that I value dearly, and I went to the campus. I met a whole bunch of really interesting people, and I got some good advice from a few different individuals. If we are in the right headspace, you can pick up wisdom from practically anybody that you meet, provided we get past ourselves, we get past our own ego. That prevents us from that. And one thing is to have a beginner's mind, to getting back to your question, to never think that I have arrived, I'm done. Did you ever think you were done in an exam? Once you think you're done, you're done. But if you have a beginner's mind and you think, I'm here to learn, I want to explore, I want to go deeper into this, then there is so much more. Did you ever go to class and whatever the teacher was talking about, it sounded like familiar, like stuff you had already heard before, you read in a book or in a podcast, and then those 3 little words appeared on the screen of your mental imagery? I already know. Did those words ever appear on your mind when you went to class? What happens if those words appear? You totally disconnect, and you can't really relate to anything that person is speaking. I mean, he's up there waving his hands and moving his mouth, but you're already gone, right? You're already somewhere else, because your mind has convinced you that whatever this dude is talking about is not relevant to me, and I might as well sign off and do my own stuff. Has this ever happened to you, or is it just me? You have brilliant teachers, huh? Your teachers are really excellent. They captivate your mind and they engage with you. No, it can happen to anybody. And it can happen even to a monk who's been practicing for decades. That all of a sudden you think, I'm there. Some even think I'm it. And then they start tripping and they start really doing weird stuff. So do yourself a favor and keep a beginner's mind. Try to lower your levels of self-defense and try to extract that little bit of wisdom that every person has to offer. Because everyone can give you something on your path. Because we're all part of the same whole. We're all part of the same magic. Why I'm sitting here on the chair? Because I've been on the school of hard knocks, going around and around, and it's been really helpful. It's been really a tremendous experience. So I come here not too regularly. Last time I was here 7 years ago. But it's always a joy to see like different batches of people going through and then moving out into the world and making a difference. So it's a good space to actually, you're in a very advantageous position. Because right now, besides getting a few grades and a few papers done, you don't have to impress anybody. You don't have to run countries or corporations or, make a whole shitload of money. You can just be and invest in yourself. And that's a real advantageous position. So count your blessings. And I know there's a lot of angst, there's a lot of anxiety, you know, what's the future going to bring and what's happening tomorrow and what about this and what about that. But hey, most of the stuff is outside of my circle of influence. What is really my circle of influence right now is this present moment. If you learn how to appreciate the moment, and that's what you do when you meditate, you consciously give your attention to the moment. Do you feel the breeze that's coming right now? Are you feeling it? Are you feeling anything? Are you feeling okay? Yeah?
Yes.
Good. Yes. You can take the mask down because otherwise I can't hear you. Unless you scream. On being present. First of all, you see the advantage of it. You think like it's a good thing. Like you value health. So you do things like taking a shower, putting on a fresh shirt, brushing your teeth, eating healthier foods. So being present is where we should be, because that's all we have. The past is gone, the future hasn't come yet. The only thing that you actually own is this moment, right now. So if you learn to value the moment, after a while you can take that moment and you can make it last, and it becomes practically infinity. So that moment of joy, that moment of connection, that moment of truth can last if you learn the art of valuing it and appreciating it. And that's why we chant mantras, because sound is the best way how to captivate the mind and how to bring it in one place and to stay with it. So try it out. Try it out. Sound is very powerful. It's the way we communicate. It's the way we get up. It's the way we're born and we leave this world. Sound. It's a powerful thing. If you learn the art of dealing with sound in a conscious, in a present, and in a compassionate way, you can change your life and you can influence the world. If you want to have impact, work on your faculty of speech. And that includes how we hear and how we perceive things. It's very powerful. Thank you. Other points or questions? Yes.
I want to go back to that assets and liabilities thought that you were talking about, which is very fascinating. I guess when you see a liability around you, do you just ignore and move away, or do you take it upon yourself to invest and turn that liability into an asset? Because I look at the devotees who I consider assets, right? And they go out and they meet people all around the world and try to convert them on that liability path, convert them into an asset.
Sure.
You can shed some light on that.
Thank you. Everybody can be a liability or an asset. Everybody. It depends how we treat them. Depends how we see them. I've seen magnificent people really bomb out. And I have seen people who looked very compromised and who have done miracles. So it's not a label or a box or a category, but it's really up to us how we treat people and how we invest and how we deal with each other. So, of course, some people or some situation, it may be beyond us to actually reach them or to make that difference, but we can still appreciate them and, try our best. Sometimes I have a hard time reaching myself because I'm just too busy kicking the can down the road. I'm just too busy keeping the show on the road. And sometimes you actually have to push that pause button and just take a little time out and go into the woods and connect to nature and just wind down, because all these busyness can kind of get to you sometimes. Do you feel like that, or is it just me? All this running around, it just makes you a little crazy. So what I do personally, I get up early and I do my yoga and my meditation, my chanting, my studies, so that after breakfast I'm ready to face the world and in a more kind, compassionate, and service-oriented manner. And even throughout the day, when things start to get crazy, I go for a walk and I just unplug and try to get my grounding like that. And do yourself a favor, don't do the all-nighters. I know right now it's like super nice time out and everyone's like, this is exciting, you gotta do it, stay up all night, do all that crazy stuff. But if you want to get stuff done in life, one simple advice: go to bed earlier, get up early, and you go much better and you get much more done. So as far as making a difference, a liability can be turned into an asset, or an asset can be turned into a liability. It's really a matter of our view and our attitude towards people and the situation. Other questions? Yes.
I have a question about, so you gave the example of doing your roommate's dishes.
Yeah.
How
Don't tell him, okay? Because you know who it is, all right? Otherwise I'll get in trouble.
Yeah, so how do you
That's what friends are for, to get you in trouble. To tell you all the things you don't want to hear. But you have to hear them. Because they're the only ones who can get away with it, telling you all that stuff. That's why we need friends. Because if a stranger would tell you all that stuff, you just say, hey, do I know you? Who are you? Just, get off my planet. But if it's your friend, then it's like, hey, maybe I have to pay attention, Maybe I should listen to this and take it to heart. So yes, go ahead.
So how do you suggest, in that kind of situation, not reverting to resentment? So
Well, there's different things.
that can be done in two different ways.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the dishes but resentfully, or I'm going to do them and feel really selfless and
Yeah, or you can tell them to get a dishwasher, or to get married, or just move on in life, or you can confront them in a nice way or in a not so nice way. But what I usually tend to do initially is I try to see what's the takeaway, what's the lesson for me. Besides that there are dirty dishes in the sink, that's an obvious fact. But what can I learn from this? Have I ever been sloppy and had other people have to clean up after me? Has this ever happened? I guess yes. Otherwise I wouldn't be facing this scenario here. and what can I do in order to improve it? Like that. And maybe also not be, things can be done in a different way. Some people like to clean once, some like to do it every moment of the day. Maybe also agree that there are different ways of doing things, and my way may not be the only way how it can happen. Oftentimes people have similar goals and interests, but they just have a different style, a different way of how to go about it. So to accommodate that is also one of the takeaways. But usually non-violent communication does help periods of time. But the first thing is to become aware of it, and that's where meditation comes in. That's why we do chanting, and we do these groups, that we bring out these topics, and we're honest, we're sincere. We're not saying, hey, I'm fine, leave me alone. What's your problem? But we're honest about our own, path, so to speak. So I always try to see it in that way. What is my lesson? What's my takeaway? What can I learn from this? And also that maybe I'm not made to room with 4 or 5 other guys or girls. Maybe I need my own space, and I just want to do it the way I want to do it. That's another realization. That's also quite common, and it's permissible. And then you just have to wait or make an arrangement to have your own space. That's another solution. Does that help? Other points? Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you made it. I'm excited. I'm the only guy out here, Yes. Yeah, thank you. So for me, the teachers who have inspired me the most are the ones who were humble, self-effacing, and sincere. They were just salt of the earth. So I just try to see what are my role models, who am I trying to emulate. And then it's not something that you can just imitate, but it's something to get inspired by. Like I mentioned earlier, do something and don't take credit for it. I know it sounds hard. How many times you had a great experience and then taking those pictures and posting it and telling the world about it ruined it, killed it, just really obliterated that experience? Has this ever happened to you, or is it just me? And you wish you had left the damn phone at home. So do yourself a favor. Just live in the moment and appreciate the beauty of life. It happened. You were there. Who cares who else knows about it? You don't have to wear the t-shirt that says, you know, I'm a master of blah-de-blah-de-blah, you know? You don't need that. It's going to ruin your experience in life. So and to just periodically have a little bit of introspection. Make it a daily practice. How many of you are journaling? How many of you are keeping some journal, or you write down something? Try it out. This is your homework for next week, okay? Try journaling a little bit. I don't care whether you do it 5 minutes or you do a page or you just do, you know, but sit down, don't have an agenda, just write down about your current image, your mental landscape, what's going on right now, okay? And then you see if there's a pattern, and if you like it, or if you would like to change something in it. Otherwise, if you don't see a need, you know, without hunger, food is really meaningless. When you're full, or you don't have an appetite, or you're sick, and people come with food, it makes you nauseous. You don't want to see food. It's just appalling. So if we don't feel a need, a necessity, then why do it? But true magic happens when we're not just aware and present, but we're actually ready to become empowered. We actually want to be an instrument of grace and compassion. That's when the magic happens, when really super special things start to happen. When I take myself out of the center and I make the center free so that the energy can flow. As long as I'm obstructing, it's not going to happen. It will just ruin it. It will just kill it. So it's a constant process. It's like posture, you know. It's a constant process. But after a while, you get more into the habit. And by associating with people who have that natural affinity. You're welcome. Our guest came here for a reason, because you already ate, you already had your meal, so I want to know, why are you here? Besides enjoying the nice breeze. Any questions or comments from our guests?
I have one final request.
Yes.
Since we are getting about to that time.
Yes.
And we understand you've got a busy schedule, you've got to go after this. But we are about to do another meditation, the Kirtan meditation, which is the main spiritual practice we do as a part of this Bhakti Yoga tradition. So I was hoping we could just hear some words from you on what is this meditation,
Sure.
why do we do it?
Sure. Thank you. So the mantra is here on the board. Hare means the energy, or Mother Nature, the feminine part. Krishna is the masculine part, the all-attractive. There is a natural attraction and energy between the two. And Rama means the source of all love, pleasure, and joy. So it's a universal mantra that really attracts all the good stuff in life that you want. So it's a ancient mantra from Sanskrit, as there are different prayers And it's a call for grace and empowerment to remind us of our inherent true nature, and a prayer for empowerment to make a difference in the world by staying true to our own real calling and not getting bamboozled along the scenic route through the Florida landscape. So again, sound music is something very captivating, and if you have difficulty with attention and focus, try out mantra meditation. It's a very good tool, especially if you use beads and you can use your tactile sense. I see some of you have beads, some of you have maybe experimented with it. The Yoga Sutras, the Yoga Scriptures of Patanjali say that if 3 senses are simultaneously engaged in one activity, it's very easy to focus. So you speak, you hear, and your tactile sense is absorbed in holding and counting the beads. So it's very easy to capture the mind, which otherwise might be many places. Yes, the car just went by. And yes, the AC is running. And yes, so many other things are moving. But if you absorb yourself into chanting, then all those things will go on without you even noticing them, because you're fully focused on the transcendental sound vibration. And you can travel to places through sound. So this is a laboratory experiment. I know you're scientifically minded and you like to try stuff out. So I'm not telling you got to believe this is the way how it is, because I know. But I'm just humbly asking you, try this out. You already tried a whole bunch of other stuff, and not all of it worked, I believe. So you got nothing to lose. Might as well try this. And then see how it resonates. So I'd give yourself, try it out for 15 days or a month. Do some chanting. And see how your faculty of concentration, of meditation, of presence, and also how your communication skills will improve, because that's the way how we vibe. And if you learn the art of communicating with kindness and empathy, you'd be surprised how many people will say, hey, where were you all this time? Because people are looking not for information, they're looking for realization. You can get a lot of data from the cloud or from the web or from the server. But if you want wisdom, you have to find people who have walked the path and paid the price of application. Without application, there is no realization. You can cram as much data and spit it out at the right moment and you pass your exam, but when you're in the school of life, it means nothing. Because all people want to know is, what's your experience? What do you feel? What's your realization? And then data is not going to cut it. So please take this mantra and work with it and see how it will empower you to travel, to accomplish, but overall to be and to experience who you really are. And that is the most exciting, most fascinating, and most ecstatic thing that you can ever experience in life. Thank you for your kind presence and attention. We'll have some more chanting and then a few snacks. I'm so happy to see all of you. All the sages have assembled. Now I just got to go and do my homework. Because now with this whole Zoom thing, it's 24/7, you know, and people expect you to give classes to them in China and here and there, and they don't care that you're in Florida. They say, hey, you know, you can do it. So
Thanks for
but give yourself this greatest gift. Go in flight mode every day. Reclaim your life, at least in bits, in parts. You know, don't do it too drastically. I'm not telling you throw the TV out or put it out on the curb. I'm not telling you get off social media. I'm not telling you, stop the all-nighters and, quit all the substances. All I'm telling you is, maybe I'm telling you that, but claim your own headspace and your heart space. That's the hardest place to conquer. And if you can conquer that, the world is in your palm. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for spending your valuable time here with us, Navina Nirada.
Thanks for having me.
Minutes, and then feel free to hang out for a little bit at the end of the program. You're welcome to socialize. Just keep in mind as you're eating, just keep distance between each other because we will have no masks, and then put them on as soon as you're finished. So thank you all for understanding. We're very grateful we can do anything at all during this pandemic. So,
and if you have more questions, they're more than qualified to answer all your queries, and they'll be here to interact with you. This place is open, so just be happy to drop by whenever you feel like it. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
So for those of you who came a little later, this is a call and response, so I'll lead a line, and then you'll all respond together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right, together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right, together. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Everyone. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let's do it one more time with all your heart. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you all for being so enthusiastic.
All right, come to the end of the program. A few quick things before we have some muffins. I wanted to give some thanks to everyone who's helped to make this happen. My friend Ariana helped me to set up this beautiful space. Madhu Kameshi made some wonderful treats for us. All of the wonderful musicians, the kirtaniyas. Whoever helps me with cleaning up at the end, whoever has some time, my thanks go out to you. And all of you for attentively being here and spending your valuable time with us. And just so you know, we do this every week. Next week, actually the roommate of Navina Nirada will be here, Dr. Jonathan Banks, and he will be speaking on science and spirituality. Brilliant topics. It's amazing to hear from a PhD about spiritual wisdom. So we'd love to have you all back next week. Also on Saturday nights, we do 3 hours of this kirtan together right here, 6 to 9 p.m. So you're all invited for that as well. So yeah, that's all as far as announcements go. And then one last very important thing. There is a very special person here who is celebrating their 23rd birthday today. Is that right? 23rd? Our friend Lily is here, and we wanted to give her the first cupcake and all sing together, please. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Love and support. Thank you all for coming, and please come grab a muffin and hang out for a little while. And and we'll see you next time. We all say Hare Krishna here as a greeting and a goodbye. It's kind of like aloha, they say in Hawaii. Everyone say Hare Krishna! Thank you very much.